Hello. Hey, thank you for joining me for my YouTube live. Sorry that I'm doing it a little earlier than normal. I just couldn't do it later tonight, so I had to bump it up. I hope that works for most of you. When I did pop on here, I did see that I already had a comment from this morning that somebody really doesn't like Hegseth. He said he's a warmonger, but the comment was from PETA Hogsmeade. Is that a mixture of Hannah, like Harry Potter is Hogsmeade, right? That's the village.
Yeah.
And PETA is what? Hunger Games?
You're referring to Hunger Games, but it's not spelled right.
It's not, but is that a Hunger Game? If that's a Hunger Games Harry Potter mix, I don't even know if I think that's a valid. I'm not going to take a comment from that kind of mixture. No, I don't know. I don't have strong feelings about the Harry Potter mix of what was it? What's the other one? Hunger Games. sorry. Okay. Anyway, I thought we'd chat for just a few minutes, but today we're going to be kind of digging into some of the highlights from the confirmation hearing with Pete Hegseth. So I've gone through that, and it's pretty enjoyable. I've gone through many hours of it, but I've kind of whittled it down. So I have just a few little clips that I thought we could share. I've been having a few problems with deer in my yard. Okay, just while we're waiting for people to join. But so in the summer, when I have deer in the backyard, I can turn on the sprinklers and usually they will run, right? And if they're really determined to stick in the backyard, then I will sometimes run around there holding some type of broom, and that will get them to leave. But it's winter here in Salt Lake City, and it's too cold to go outside. So I thought we had 2 deer in the backyard, and the problem is they eat stuff. So anyway, I don't know what to do when it's too cold to go outside to get the deer to leave. I thought about getting a drone and trying to, like a little cheap drone, and trying to buzz the deer with the drone to see if that would scare them off. But I don't want to hit the deer. But I'm sure if it's a tiny drone, it probably wouldn't matter. Anyway, if anybody out there has some suggestions with deer in the yard in the winter, that would be great. Please let me know. Let's see. I think I saw earlier a somebody said, "Why don't you make?" Let's see. Why don't you make deer in? Why don't you want deer in your yard? Make friends with them. I do like the deer, except for they eat everything. They just eat everything. Even if you buy the deer resistant plants, which we did, they still eat them. It's plus the deer poop gets everywhere. I mean, and it's hard to get because it's like the little pebble. If you've ever tried to clean up deer poop, it's tiny, so it's hard to get. But I can do it. Hello from Magnolia, Texas. Hello, Magnolia, Texas. Nice. From Californication. Oh man, from California. I'm glad you made it to Texas. Retired Navy Chief, boatswain mate. Hey, thank you for your service. That's fantastic. I hope your friends are safe down there, if you have any that are still there with the fires. Deborah, go spread your urine, mark your territory. Territory. I don't know if would human urine scare off the deer, because I would do it. I mean, I hope none of my neighbors are watching this live. I don't think they are, so they will never know. But I'm willing to try it. If that would get the deer to stay away. But I thought I read that they would get used to urine. Not that I didn't research. What if I peed in all the bushes? I didn't research that. I think I was researching if dogs or coyotes or something. But anyway, New Jersey. Hello, New Jersey. Thanks for joining. Yeah, hopefully the earlier time is better for you in New Jersey. Oh, cool. Okay. Let's say, yeah, thanks everybody for joining. This is great. I'm glad to see everybody here. Oh, a fellow Utah. Thank you for joining. Okay, let's see. You guys, should we kind of start on the Pete Hegseth? Now, I basically have a bunch of video clips from YouTube. I'm going to play them from YouTube. I apologize, but they're going to play commercials occasionally because I'm not going to pay YouTube. I'm still waiting for them to pay me. So occasionally we're going to have some commercials. I will mute them. I hope that isn't too offensive, but that's going to happen. But I'll be playing short clips, and then we can talk about them. And we have a bunch of different senators that we're going to look at. So let's see. I'll go ahead and dig in here. Just seeing if we have any other comments to put a few pennies in your pockets for a few days. If you catch your scent, then toss them around in the yard. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I'm willing to try that. Okay. All right. Let's, we're going to start with, so at the beginning, we did have a few disruptions. I think I saw 3 different disruptions, people in the crowd trying to yell and disrupt the hearing. But we're just going to show I'll show the first, well, one of the disruptions here, and then we'll talk about that. So let me just I'm going to change the layout for a second. Okay.
Than Donald Trump. As I've said to many of you in private meetings, when President Trump chose me for this position, the primary charge he gave me was to bring the warrior culture back to the Department of Defense. He, like me, wants a Pentagon laser-focused on lethality, meritocracy, warfighting, accountability, and readiness.
Okay, so that was one of the disruptions. I haven't seen somebody that upset since they discontinued the McRib, right? Okay, did you guys see the pink ladies too? Let me maximize that, but these pink ladies were there. You can see them right there where they were protesting as well, but I didn't see them yelling, unfortunately. They had 3 people there who were taken out because of disruptions. I did wonder how they got their seats. I'm guessing they were hard left Democrats who somehow got seats to this particular hearing, and then they let them go. Did they know that they were going to be disruptive? I don't know. But when I saw that lady screaming, trying to get out, just disrupt the meeting, it did remind me of church sometimes. You ever seen like a little kid who just freaks out and wants to get out? It kind of reminded me of that, only usually the child is smaller, but it's pretty funny when the child being taken out is yelling that like, I hate this so much, I can't stand it. And the parents are trying to shut them up. Anyway, that's kind of what that reminded me of, those disruptions. What was she yelling about? Actually, I couldn't hear that particular one. I guess I could back up, but it was hard to make out. Let's see. If I did back up a little bit, do you think we could make it out? Let's try that again. Oh, here comes.
This portable,
I'll mute it.
900 square foot room from
in this process. And the incoming National Security Advisor, Congressman, and more importantly for our purposes, Colonel Mike Waltz for his powerful words. I'm grateful to them both. Thank you to my incredible wife, Jennifer, who has changed my life and been with me throughout this entire process. I love you, sweetheart, and I thank God for you.
Whoops, I think I'm a little bit off.
Jenny
Hold on.
and I prayed, many of you in private meetings, when President Trump chose me for this position, the primary charge he gave me was to bring the warrior culture back to the Department of Defense. He, like me, wants a Pentagon laser-focused on lethality, meritocracy, warfighting, accountability, and readiness.
I could not make that out. Did anybody make that out? I really could not tell what she was saying. I like the screaming sounded like an exorcism session. I know, we just needed to see like the green pea soup flying from her mouth, and then it would have been perfect. Yeah, it looks like several people couldn't tell what she said either. I have no idea what she said, but she sounded mad. Yeah, she did. Okay, so let's go on to the next clip. So this is going to be Senator Gillibrand, and she was lovely. She was, she was one of my least favorites, if you know what I mean. And she basically took 8 minutes just kind of railing at Hegseth about women in the military and LGBTQIA plus. I get lost somewhere. But anyway, she spent like her whole time railing on that. So we just have a few clips from her that we're going to look at. Okay. Okay, so this is Senator Gillibrand from New York. She's lovely. Let me get this.
That units. So specific to Senator Cotton's question, because Senator Cotton was giving you layups to differentiate between different types of combat. And specifically, as secretary, would you take any action to reinstitute the combat arms exclusion for female service members, knowing full well you have hundreds of women doing that job right now? And the standards, your 2 mile run, Tom, is about the Army combat fitness test. It is not the requirements to have an MOS 11 Bravo, which is the infantry. These are the requirements today for people serving in the industry, men and women. They are gender neutral, and they are very difficult to meet. They have not been reduced in any way, and our combat units, our infantry is...
I'm sorry, when she says they haven't been reduced in any way, I kind of don't believe that. Come on. Okay.
Is lethal. So please explain specifically, because you will be in charge of 3 million personnel. It is a big job. And when you make these public statements, and I get you were not Secretary of Defense then, I get you were on TV, I get you were helping veterans, I get it was a different job. But most recently, you said this in November of 2024, knowing full well you might have been named as Secretary of Defense. So please explain these types of statements, because they're brutal and they're mean and they disrespect men and women who are willing to die for this country.
Okay, well, let's see. Okay, there we go. At least we know that Senator Gillibrand is a hard no, right? I don't know. I listened to her voice so much watching this that I think the Geneva Convention needs to add an amendment that outlaws Senator Gillibrand's voice. Come on, I think they could probably use her in Guantanamo Bay, just like stick her in front of a cell. Like if they needed information from someone, just put her in front of the cell and have her talk to them like that. They would be singing like a canary, probably within an hour. Just, I'll tell you anything, make her stop talking. Anyway, so she's pretty intense. She clearly has, she doesn't like Pete Hegseth. We have another few clips from her. Let's see. I'm just looking at the comments right now. Yeah, so Maddie had a good comment. Wait, so she wants the requirements for the military to be changed so it's easier to get in. Well, what Senator Gillibrand was saying was they haven't changed, and I think she was taking the position that they're all the same. But from what I've read and seen, that's not the case. Somebody posted on Twitter one of the, I think it was a fitness scoring thing for different different type of events that people in the armed services can perform. And it looked like one of the examples was if you deadlifted a certain amount, you'd get 100 points if you were a man. And it was, you could deadlift a lot less than that to get 100 points if you were a woman. So clearly they do have different standards. And I think they have lowered the standards, but Senator Gillibrand was saying that's not true, but I don't believe her because anyway. And if anybody online right now has other examples of that, please feel to throw them in. But that's the one I recently have seen lately. Okay. Nurse Ratchet in politics. Yes. Okay. Okay. So let's go to her next clip. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, okay. So in this clip, we're just going to watch Pete Hegseth answer, but just kind of watch how Senator Gillibrand doesn't seem to care at all what he's saying. So let's just watch this.
Well, Senator, I appreciate your comments, and I would point out I have never disparaged women serving in the military. I respect every single female service member that has put on the uniform, past and present. My critiques, Senator, recently and in the past, and from personal experience, have been instances where I've seen standards lowered, and you mentioned 11 Alpha, 11 Bravo, MOS, places in units, and the book that has been referenced multiple times here, The War on Warriors. I spent months talking to active duty service members, men and women, low ranks, high ranks, combat arms and not combat arms, and what each and every...
You can just see the whole time that she is just looking down thinking, what can I say next? I need to have a really good zinger next. What can I say next? She's not listening at all to Hegseth.
Every one of them told me, and which personal instances have shown me, is that in ways direct, indirect, overt, and subtle, standards have been changed inside infantry training units, ranger school, infantry battalions, to ensure that
Give me one example. Please give me an example. I get you're making these generalized
meet
statements.
Quotas to have a certain number of female infantry officers or infantry enlisted, and that disparages those women.
Commanders do not have to meet quotas for the infantry. Commanders do not have to have a quota for women in the infantry. That does not exist. It does not exist. And your statements are creating the impression that these exist, because they do not. There are not quotas. We want the most lethal force. But I'm telling you, having been here for 15 years, listening to testimony about men and women in combat and the type of operations that were successful.
Okay, I think I have just one more clip of her, because that's probably about all that you can take. That's about all that I can take. Yeah, basically she's got her strategy is I'm not listening, I'm just waiting for my turn to talk strategy. Like, we all know people like that, right? They're not listening at all. They're just waiting for your mouth to stop moving so they can dive in. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, I thought Hegseth had a really strong ending with Senator Gillibrand. So I just wanted to watch her ending here. Let's see here. Because I think she thought with this ending, let me pop the screen for a minute. So I think that she thought with her last zinger question, she was really going to get him. And then he just turned it around on her. And I thought, oh, this is such a strong, powerful ending for him with this session with Gillibrand. Okay.
Do not deny that you've made those statements. You have. We take the responsibility of standards very seriously, and we will work with you. I'm equally distressed. You would not meet with me before this hearing. We could have covered all of this before you came here, so I could get to the 15 other questions that I want to get to. So women, you have denigrated. You have also denigrated members of the LGBTQ community. Did you know that when Don't Ask, Don't Tell was in place, we lost so many crucial personnel, over 1,000 in mission critical areas. We lost 10% of all our foreign language speakers because of a political policy. You said in your statement, you don't want politics in the DOD.
I just wanted to give a quick example about a political policy. That would be something like making everyone take an experimental shot from Big Pharma, and then if they don't want to, you kick them all out. Something like that. So just wanted to clarify. I'm sure that's what she means.
Everything you've said in these public statements is politics. I don't want women. I don't want moms. What's wrong with a mom, by the way? Once you have babies, you therefore are no longer able to be lethal. I mean, you're basically saying women after they have children can't ever serve in the military in a combat role. It's a silly thing to say. It's a silly thing to say beneath the position that you are aspiring to. To denigrate LGBTQ service members is a mistake. If you are a sharpshooter, you're as lethal regardless of what your gender identity is, regardless of who you love. So please know this to be a true statement. So you say it was a political thing. You say it undermined us, social engineering. I don't know why someone having to publicly say or not publicly say who they love is social engineering. I think having that policy in the first place was highly problematic. And
You're not a child, you're a man. So stop skin tactical.
as you said in your statement, do you agree anybody should be able to serve in the military if they meet the standards?
Senator, as the president has stated, I don't disagree with the overturn of Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
Great, because I don't want you thinking, can't serve if you're a mom, can't serve if you're LGBTQ, and then last, can't serve if you're a leftist. The statements you said about people who have views differently than you, that we're the enemy, are you saying that 50% of the DOD, if they hold liberal views or leftist views or are Democrats, are not welcome in the military? Are you saying that?
Senator, I volunteered to deploy to Afghanistan under Democrat President Barack Obama. I also volunteered to guard the inauguration of Joe Biden, but was denied the opportunity to serve because I was identified as an extremist by my own unit for a Christian tattoo.
Thank you very much.
I just thought that was such a strong ending for Hegseth, because she was trying to say he might discriminate against somebody who's on the left, and he immediately gave her an example of him being singled out because he was actually a conservative and Christian. And I think, from what we've seen, that seems to be happening a lot, right? I mean, weren't they searching bank accounts for anybody who had anything MAGA related in any kind of I don't know if it was a comment field or something. We had the FBI with talking about infiltrating Catholic choirs, which I know is the FBI, not the armed forces, but I'm just saying it seemed to be like pervasive in the government that more and more left people were in control, trying to squeeze out any people on the right. So that's pretty rich for her to just say, like, are you going to try to get rid of people on the left? Are you kidding? Isn't that like 90% of the people in there right now in leadership? So we're talking about. Okay, we will be moving on to Senator Hirono. Any other comments on Senator Gillibrand from New York? Let's see. Maddie Grace, she definitely came to argue and not to have a conversation. Absolutely. Yeah. I think she came with her list of, I'm going to give this little monologue and a speech about how terrible he is. And I hope he will be quiet long enough for me to just say all these things. And she was in high gear too. Like she seemed like she had a lot of caffeine right before this hearing, because she was like, I wonder if she talks like that normally. I don't really have seen her clips before, so I don't know if she normally talks that fast, or if it was just in this hearing where she just seemed to be really raring to go. Yeah, let's see. Gillibrand sounds like she's got a hole in her head. I agree. I totally agree. Let's see. Okay. All right. We are now going to move on to Senator Hirono. She was another lovely senator. Let's flip over to her. She starts at around 2:02. Okay.
Justice, UCMJ, in addition to the sexual assault allegations, and by the way, the answer to my second question should have been yes. I have read multiple reports of your regularly being drunk at work, including by people who worked with you at Fox News. Do you know that being drunk at work is prohibited for service members under the UCMJ?
Senator, those
Yes
are
or no?
multiple false anonymous reports peddled by NBC
Do you
News
know that
run directly
drinking on the job
contradictory to the
is
dozens of men and women at
not
Fox News.
I don't know if you guys heard this, but during the hearing, there was another senator that pointed out, he said, do you know how many senators come in for votes drunk? And it sounded like that was kind of something that's well known among senators. So we've got Senator Hirono, who totally knows that, right? She has to know that, acting like, what is this thing called alcohol that you partake of or used to partake of? I think it's used to partake of. I don't think he drinks anymore. But she seems overly sensitive about it right now, which
contemplated on it?
Who I work with,
I'm
who
not
came
hearing
on
the
the
answer to my
record
question.
and said they've
In your
never
opening
seen
statement,
that.
Mr. Hegseth, you commit to holding leaders accountable at all levels. That includes you, of course. And frankly, as secretary, you will be on the job 24/7. You recently promised some of my Republican colleagues that you stopped drinking and won't drink if confirmed, correct?
Absolutely.
you know it's serious when this confirmation hearing starts to sound like an AA meeting, right?
Will you resign as Secretary of Defense if you drink on the job, which is a 24/7 position?
I've made this commitment on behalf of
Will
the
you
men and women I'm
resign as
serving.
Secretary of Defense
I've
if
made this
you
commitment
drink
on
on the
behalf of
job?
the men and women I'm serving
I'm not
because it's the
hearing-
most important
I'm
deployment
not
of my
hearing an
life.
answer to my question, so I'm going to move on. While you have made that commitment, you will not commit to resigning if you drink on the job.
So let me flip this over. I mean, it sounds like the Secretary of Defense has the same rules as a middle school chaperone, is what it sounds like from what she just said. She's like wanting him to say, if you happen to drink ever, will you resign? I mean, how many people in Washington, D.C. don't drink? Does anybody have the numbers on that? I can't imagine. That's just, anyway, she seems out there on that. Well, let's see. Here's a fun one. From YouTube user, yeah, that's Rich. She sounds drunk. Nancy installed the bar. You know what? That is exactly what I thought. When I heard Senator Hirono speaking, I was like, she sounds like she's, you know, a little bit had a few. I mean, to me, it just sounded like she has had a few, which wouldn't that be so typical if this Democrat senator came in railing on somebody for drinking and they had a few drinks before they actually walked in the hearing. Yeah, here's another one from Ozzy. Hirono is slurring her words. That's what it sounds like to me too. Daryl, yeah, that's actually a great comment. And that this is true. They do have a slush fund to pay off sexual harassment in Congress and the Senate. That is true. I've seen stories about that. So when they get, we'll be talking about the senator later who is kind of going off in that particular realm. I forget that guy's name, Kaine, I think. But yeah, they're acting like, what is this weird thing? Like, you guys have a slush fund for this. What are you talking about? Why are you acting so weird? Another great comment, they do always accuse you of what they're guilty of. Yeah, that seems to absolutely be their MO. That's exactly what they do. Elizabeth Warren, we'll be getting to her shortly. We do have a clip from Warren, which is nice. Okay, let's go to the next clip from Hirono. Okay, here we go.
fire, and destroy
You know
a
what? That sounds to
statue.
me that you will
Chaos.
comply with such an order. You will shoot protesters in the leg. Moving on. President-elect has attacked our allies in recent weeks, refusing to rule out using military force to take over Greenland and the Panama Canal, and threatening to make Canada the 51st state. Would you carry out an order from President Trump to seize Greenland, a territory of our NATO ally Denmark, by force, or would you comply with an order to take over the Panama Canal?
Senator, I will emphasize that President Trump received 77 million votes to be the lawful
We're
commander-in-chief
not
of
talking
this
about the
country.
election. My question is, would you use our military to take over Greenland or an ally of Denmark?
Senator, one of the things that President Trump is so good at is never strategically tipping his hand. And so I would never in this public forum give one way or another
So
direct what orders the president would
sounds
give
to
me
me-
in any context.
It sounds to me that you would contemplate carrying out such an order to basically invade Greenland and take over the Panama Canal.
Okay. Man, can you imagine if day one President Trump was, like they announced, Operation Frozen Tundra, and we have all of our troops invading Greenland. That's just, I don't know. That's such a crazy, we're going to attack Greenland. We have carrier groups going up there right now. F-35s are going to start strafing the coast, and we're going to really let Greenland know we're there. Right? Invading Greenland. Okay, that's great. All right, I think the next senator is Tim Kaine, but does anybody else have anything about Senator Hirono? Let's see. From Maddie Grace, I give Hegseth so much props for being able to stay calm because I would have lost my mind at these senators. Yeah, Hegseth, I thought he just crushed it through this whole hearing. He stayed calm, very collective. He was careful with what he said, and he handled these senators fantastically, like really. And this, especially this Kaine guy, man, Hegseth was so great in that hearing. Howard Clegg, he's way too smart for them. Yeah, they're probably not used to having, we have had the Biden administration. That was the last set of people put in for cabinet positions where they had their hearings. They have no idea what it's like to talk to candidates that are actually qualified and really smart, because Biden surrounded himself with not smart people. Let me just say that. Anything else? Okay. All right, let's go to Senator Tim Kaine. Oh, this guy was a sleaze bag. I really did. All of these senators were tools. That's a legal term. But I thought Tim Kaine really took the cake for being sleazy. He was just, ugh. All right, so we'll go over to Tim Kaine. Okay, 217.
Whom you had just fathered a child. You have admitted that. I will allow your words to speak for themselves.
You're not retracting that today. That's good. I assume that in each of your weddings, you've pledged to be faithful to your wife. You've taken an oath to do that, haven't you?
Senator, as I've acknowledged to everyone in this committee, not a perfect person, not claiming to be.
But no, I just asked a simple question. You've taken an oath like you would take an oath to be Secretary of Defense in all of your weddings to be faithful to your wife. Is that correct?
I have failed in things in my life, and thankfully I'm redeemed by my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
In finalizing divorces from your first and second wives, were there non-disclosure agreements in connection with those divorces?
Senator, not that I'm aware of.
If there were, would you agree to release those first and second wives from any confidentiality agreement?
Senator, it's not something I'm aware of.
But if there were, you would agree to release them from a confidentiality agreement?
Senator, that's not my responsibility.
Did you ever engage in any acts of physical violence against any of your wives?
Senator, absolutely not.
But you would agree with me that if someone had committed physical violence against a spouse, that would be disqualifying to serve as Secretary of Defense, correct?
Senator, absolutely not have I ever done that.
You would agree that that would be a disqualifying offense, would you not?
Senator, you're talking about a hypothetical.
I don't think it's a hypothetical. Violence against spouses occurs every day. And if you as a leader are not capable of saying that physical violence against a spouse should be a disqualifying fact for being secretary of the most powerful nation in the world, you're demonstrating an astonishing lack of judgment. The incident in Monterey led to a criminal charge, a criminal investigation, a private settlement, and a cash payment to the woman who filed the complaint. And there was also a non-disclosure agreement, correct?
It was a confidential settlement agreement off of a nuisance lawsuit.
Right. During an interview, you claimed that you settled the matter because you were worried that if it became public, it might hurt your career. Do you maintain that you were blackmailed?
Senator, I maintain that false claims were made against me. And ultimately,
Your attorney
those
used
false
the
claims,
phrase,
I have the opportunity to attest my innocence in those false claims.
But you didn't reveal any of this to President Trump or the transition team as they were considering you to be nominated.
Okay, man, that guy, first off, he's trying to imply that there was some type of physical abuse. He keeps him going around asking about it. What about the NDA about it? What about all the stuff? Basically, if you keep asking somebody, when did you rob the bank? So do you use the car when you rob the bank? Or do you use your truck when you rob the bank? So when you rob the bank, what do you do with the money? He's already said they were false allegations and it was settled, but oh God, this guy, this Tim Kaine. And then he's acting like he's concerned that he didn't tell President Trump about this stuff. Look, didn't he vote yes? He voted yes on all of Biden's nominations, and they are psychos. So it's like, no, you're not gonna, you voted for all those people who probably don't have the brain power of a mosquito, and you're gonna be sitting here acting like Hegseth has got a problem. Anyway, I did not like this Tim Kaine guy. He really bugged. There was some stuff earlier that had the same vein of like marital relations, and I didn't play it because I didn't want YouTube to demonetize my videos because they seem to have a hair trigger with me. But it was the same type of scummy, sleazy stuff from Senator Tim Kaine. This is all about character attacks. Absolutely. Yeah. They just keep dragging his name through the mud with all the subject matter, hoping that people are going to go away thinking, well, he must have robbed a bank. They kept asking about the bank he robbed, so he must have robbed the bank. And, before this hearing started, Hegseth said that there were a number of news outlets where they were talking to people that he knew, and these people told him, hey, I gave them statements about you. I told them what really happened. I gave them positive statements. These news outlets didn't use them because they were basically smear campaigns, and all they wanted were negative assertions about him. And they weren't interested in anyone who was actually telling them something that made Hegseth look good. Anyway, let's see. Wyoming Joe. I'm guessing that's Wyoming Joe. Attack the person, but not look at the qualifications of an individual. Exactly right. Yeah. Mark Narvison. Didn't Kaine lose running for vice president? Hannah, can you check that? I think that he did run for vice president. Can you check to see if this is Senator Tim Kaine, to see if he did run for vice president? I'm pretty sure he did, but I just want to double check that. Do you happen to have the year, Mark? Daryl has said yes, he did. Hillary choice. Oh, was it with Hillary? Oh, was he running with Hillary? It looks like 2016 with Hillary. Okay. That sounds about right. Is that what you're saying, Sorry, I don't mean to put pressure on you. Anyway, though, we can take that as a, yeah, we've had a number of people confirm that. Oh, he would have been just a lovely vice president. Just look at him.
Yes, it's 2016 election.
2016. Okay, great. All right. So I think the next piece we're going to move to is, let's see here. Senator Elizabeth Warren. Okay. Let's get over to her. She starts out 251. Okay.
Dentists hate when you do.
Sorry about these commercials. I know I should pay for it.
So rapidly your long-held and aggressively pursued views in just 32 days, that 32 days after you get confirmed, maybe you'll just reverse those views and go back to the old guy who said straight up, women do not belong in combat. Now, Mr. Hegseth, you have written that after they retire, generals should be banned from working for the defense industry for 10 years. You and I agree on the corrosive effects of the revolving door between the Pentagon and defense contractors. It's something I would have liked to talk with you about if you'd come and been willing to visit with me. But the question I have for you on this is, will you put your money where your mouth is and agree that when you leave this job, you will not work for the defense industry for 10 years?
Senator, it's not even a question I've thought about because
You can
it's
think
not
about it
one
right
that,
now.
it's not one, my motivation for this job
I
has
understand
never
that. I
been
just
about
need
what
a
could
yes or no
conceivably
here.
come next.
Time is short. I just need a yes or no.
I would consult with the president about what the policy should be
In
at the Defense
other
Department.
words, you're quite sure that every general who serves should not go directly into the defense industry for 10 years. You're not willing to make that same pledge?
I'm not a general, Senator.
You'll be the one. Let us just be clear.
You guys, that was so good. Like when you make the whole crowd laugh, you clearly know they're all with him and Warren looks like an idiot. That was so perfect. I'm not a general. Bam, like just crushed it. Everybody starts laughing at Senator Warren at that funny comment. It was just so funny, hilarious. And I swear to you, okay, I've watched this clip several times. I swear it looks like Elizabeth Warren actually started to smile. I'm going to rewind it just a tiny bit, but I swear I can kind of see it in her face that it almost is so funny when people start laughing that she started to just look at her face. I think I'm right. But anyway, let me just back up because I just thought, oh my word, did he almost make her laugh? Let's get to that.
In charge.
I'm not a general, Senator.
You'll be the one.
Right there, didn't she? Hannah, did you see that? Did you just, okay. I think just a tiny bit, it almost looked like Elizabeth Warren was going to laugh. And I'm like, okay, you're toast. If you're actually going to be laughing at his response, you're done. Oh yeah, Dan thinks so too. Okay, just a really small grin, which for Elizabeth Warren in this context is huge. The fact that she's like, oh, dang it. Hegseth got me on that one. Yeah, I think she did too. It's such a good singer. Yeah, like this was the best part of the hearing. This is my favorite part just because it was such a good comeback and he got a good laugh. And I also, do comedy on the side. So if there's a laugh, I get really excited for whoever it was. So yeah, that was great. Let's see. Spectrum Wiz, hello. Yeah, Mark, I think that is when she lost the argument. She knew when the crowd burst out laughing. She's like, all right, I'm done. Okay, then actually Senator Tuberville took a shot at Elizabeth Warren right after this that I thought was kind of funny. So because Hegseth said, hey, I'm not a general, so I don't have to worry about that. And then Tuberville refers to Hegseth as a general later, is kind of, making fun of Elizabeth Warren on this. So I'm just going to play through that, but kind of watch for that. I just thought it was great that Senator Tuberville actually took a shot at Warren as well. Like, she already got laughed at by the whole crowd, and then bam, she probably would just wanted to get up and leave after that, right? It's like bombing at open mic. Like, I'm done. Okay, so let's just play that part. Let's see.
And let us just be clear, in charge of the generals. So you're saying sauce for the goose, but certainly not sauce for the gander?
I would want to see what the policy of the
Oh, I'll
president is.
bet you
Thank,
would.
thank you, Senator Warren. Senator Tuberville.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thanks for your hard work and your committee's hard work, Mr. Chairman. This has gone well. I'd like to submit this letter, topic conduct at Vets for Freedom for Hegseth. I'd like to submit that for the record, please.
Without objection.
General Hegseth, Mr. Hegseth, thanks for being here today. And
that was another big laugh at Senator Warren. It's just such a beautiful 5 minutes right there. If you only watch one thing, just watch that piece, because it was great. Just fantastic. Yeah, let's see. Context lacrosse. I bet she's fun at a party. Can you imagine? I bet you Warren just sucks the fun out of the room wherever she goes. She's like the Debbie Downer from SNL back when SNL was good. Yeah, Dan has got a good point. Sauce for the goose. Yeah, I've heard of good for the goose. That's the way I always said it too. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. When she said sauce, I didn't know what she was talking about. I've never heard sauce for the gander. Hannah, have you heard? No. Nobody says sauce for the goose, sauce for the goose, sauce for the gander. That was weird. Yeah, Dan, I'm with you 100%. Yeah, Dan, Tuberville is a hero for that reply. I hope he got high fives from everyone after that. That was fantastic. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's move to, let's see. Senator Duckworth. She's fun. So let's check. Let's go to her clips. 317. Okay.
Hey, thanks for telling me about this.
Sorry about that.
$16 million is 51,568 times smaller.
Hey, thanks for telling me about the solar and backup battery program for our home. We had it installed last week, and I honestly...
Than the defense budget. Please describe to me, Mr. Hegseth, you talk about DOD passing an audit. Please describe to me a time or an organization when that you led underwent an audit, because you say you're going to hire smarter people than you to run this audit. I'm not asking you to be an accountant. I want you to be able to tell me what kind of guidance will be given to those employees, what will happen if, whether or not you pass that audit. Have you led an audit of any organization? Yes or no? I don't want a long answer. Yes or no? Have you led an audit of any organization of which you were in charge?
Senator, in both of the organizations I ran, we were always completely fiscally responsible.
Yes or
with the
no,
money
did
that
you
we
lead
had.
an audit?
And the way my
Yes or
leadership
no,
has
did you lead
been
an audit?
stated
Yes or
has
no?
been completely
What are you afraid of? You
mischaracterized.
can't answer this question. Yes or no, did you lead an audit? Do you not know this answer?
Senator, every
Yes or
part
no?
of my leadership
Yes
of these
or no?
organizations
Yes
has
or
been
no, did you lead an audit?
misrepresented
I will
from
take
top
that
to
as a no.
bottom.
My word. What a psycho. Like, she was just yelling at him. Have you ever led an audit? Have you ever led an audit? I thought her head was going to explode for a minute. I half expected some CPA to parachute in and just say, I'm here. Somebody said audit 10 times in a row. So who needs help here? she was freaking out about, have you led an audit? Does she need help? I don't know. If he would have said, yes, I have, would she say, can you come back to my office? I'm getting audited and I don't know what to do next. Besides that, the Pentagon, the Pentagon has failed, isn't it 7 audits in a row? So, I mean, I thought it was a requirement if you're going to be anywhere near the Pentagon that you can't add. I mean, 7 in a row, I'm just assuming they've never had one before that can add. So Duckworth over here is just really concerned with, I guess, what Republican secretaries of defense should be able to add, but not the Democrat ones. I don't know. She was driving me nuts. So aggressive. And then she said, what are you afraid of? Oh, and he kept his cool too. Like watching Senator Duckworth ask Pete Hegseth, what are you afraid of? Like, okay. Oh my God. What a piece of work. What a piece of work Duckworth is. From Chris, dude, someone should audit her meds. Yeah, good one. They absolutely should. She is clearly way too intense about audits right now. She's just was going off. Oh yeah, orange cones. Let's see. Let me see and grab this one. I would hate to work in her office. Can you imagine? That would be real fun. Just anywhere around her would probably be just terrible. I can imagine. Let's see. Yeah, she's ruining Duckworth's good name. Nice. Okay. All right. Let me see if I've got another one from her. Oh, yeah. Okay. We do have one more from Senator Duckworth. Okay.
This is heavy. It's warm, loads of pockets. I'm impressed with it. This is the best.
And how many nations are in ASEAN, by the way?
I couldn't tell you the exact amount of nations in that, but I know we have allies in South Korea and Japan and in AUKUS with Australia, trying to work on submarines with them.
Mr. Hegseth, none of those countries are in ASEAN.
Across.
None of those 3 countries that you've mentioned are in ASEAN. I suggest you do a little homework before you prepare for these types of negotiations. Listen, Mr. Hegseth.
I mean, she's acts like we're playing Jeopardy Pentagon edition. What's in ASEAN? This is the weirdest question.
We ask our troops to go into harm's way all the time. We ask them to go into harm's way. And this behind me is a copy of the Soldier's Creed, a copy that usually hangs over my desk here in the Senate, and you should be familiar with it. It's the same copy that hung over my desk at Walter Reed every single day that I woke up and fought my way back because I wanted to go back and serve next to my buddies who'd saved my life. This same copy, these words are repeated over and over and over again. And let me read out 2 things to you, 2 sentences.
I was hoping she'd tell us the rest of ASEAN. I mean, I'm sure that probably a bunch of interns were frantically trying to Google it to see what it really means. Honestly, I've never even heard of that acronym before. And I'm pretty sure that probably no one in that room has heard of that acronym before, ASEAN. But she got him. She probably was up all night. It was probably a Chat GPT question. She probably got in there. She said, look, I want to stump this guy. What's a weird acronym that no one has ever used before? I'm going to ask him about it in the hearing. So good job. You crushed it with that. Libs were all excited about the ASEAN on social media. Like, oh, go, that was so great. Did you see him? They stumped him. Yeah, great job with the acronym that no one knows. I bet you the person who came up with that, they couldn't even tell you what it means. Let's see. Oh, ASEAN. Mark probably has. Yeah, is that? I couldn't even tell what the acronym was, but okay, it's ASEAN. ASEAN. Okay, Thank you, Mark. I'm sure that after that little piece of the hearing, people were trying to find out, what is she even talking about? Yeah. Wikipedia was probably trying to add something at the moment because nobody had ever asked before. So they're like, All right, let's see. From Orange Cones West, how much do I need to pay to not hear Duckworth again? I don't know, but I'm wondering the same thing. I'd like who. It's really hard to figure out who I would want to be with the least out of like Gillibrand, Warren, Duckworth. I mean, there's so many good choices. Let's see. Dan, let's see. Dan's got the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Okay, thanks, Dan. And it looks like Mark had that as well. Okay. All right, and we have the very last clip is from Senator Slotkin. Now, Senator Slotkin was with the CIA, so she is devious, and I think she's well put together. She knows what she's doing. She's a snake, so she's not, she's pretending like she's with him, but the whole time she's setting him up to try to screw him over in this hearing. But anyway, I just wanted to say she's CIA. I think that's probably all you need to know. She was with the CIA for, I think maybe it was 5 years. I could be wrong, but it was something like that. So let's watch this last clip with Senator Slotkin. Okay.
How to turn a chilly 50-degree room into a comfortable 73 degrees in 90 seconds. This
in the breach, should President Trump give an illegal order, right? I'm not saying he will, but if he does, you are going to be the guy that he calls to implement this order. Do you agree that there are some orders that can be given by the commander-in-chief that would violate the U.S. Constitution?
Senator, thank you for your service. But I reject the premise that President Trump is going to be giving illegal orders.
No, I'm not saying he will, but do you believe there is such a thing as an illegal order that Joe Biden or any other president, Donald Trump, could give? Is there anything that a commander-in-chief could ask you to do with the uniformed military that would be in violation of the U.S. Constitution?
Senator, anybody of any party
Right.
could give an order that is against the Constitution or against the law.
Right. Okay. So are you saying that you would stand in the breach and push back if you were given an illegal order?
I start by saying I reject the premise that President
I
Trump will be
understand
giving
you've done your
any
genuflecting
illegal
to him,
orders
but
at all.
Mike, this isn't a hypothetical. Okay.
You've done your genuflecting to him? Ah, what a turd.
Your predecessor in a Trump administration, Secretary Esper, was asked and did use uniformed military to clear unarmed protesters. He was given the order to potentially shoot at them. Helos flew low in Washington, D.C. as crowd control. He later apologized publicly for those actions. Was he right or wrong to apologize?
Senator, I was there on the ground.
And
I saw the
I understand,
helo
and I
myself.
respect that.
I've been there.
But you're
I
about
understand
to
the
be
level
the
of threat
Secretary of
that
Defense.
was involved in that moment. I
Was
also
he right
understand
to? So he was
legality and the
Sir,
Constitution.
was he
and
right
the laws
or
of what
wrong
you
to
have.
apologize?
I'm not going to put words in the mouth of Secretary Esper or
No,
anybody else. from
he
this
said them
podium.
himself. You don't have to. What are you scared of? Did he do the right thing by apologizing?
What are you scared of? Like what? The other senator said it was the Duckworth, and now Slotkin. What are you afraid of? What are you scared of? Did they send out a memo on phrases to use to try to upset Pete Hegseth? What are you afraid of? What are you scared of? I mean, in her case, Slotkin, I would say, I'm afraid you're still with the CIA and I might end up in a windowless van down by the river. That's what I'm afraid of. Don't you guys still do that? Anyway, she was lovely. Anyway, that is pretty much the highlights or lowlights of the Pete Hegseth confirmation hearing. I thought he crushed it. He did really well. I just kind of showed you the adversarial questioning from the Democrat senators, of course. He is going to be confirmed. He's got enough votes. So as soon as President Trump is in, I think he'll be our new Secretary of Defense. And I'm excited. I think it's going to be a really good change for the Pentagon. They definitely need a major change with what's going on back there. Any other final comments before we head out? She's been inhaling too much flatulence. I think the word flatulence is fun, so I just wanted to put that up. Hey, thank you, Daryl. Yeah. Oh, patience. I'm sorry if I upped the time. I went earlier. I hope I didn't screw you up, but thank you for watching it later and for joining us late. So yeah, I probably will be doing these lives a little earlier on Thursdays, like at the time that I did it today, which would be, is it 3, Hannah, what was it? 3 o'clock Pacific, 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 o'clock Eastern. Sorry, I lost my mind for a minute. So 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific. But thank you everyone for joining. It's been fun. It's been great to be on here live with you. And I will see you again next week. Thanks for watching my headlines and my shorts. Really appreciate it. All right. See you later.